Welcome back, nap trappers, to Sleep Detectives, or as Beck likes to call it, Sleepy D's. Welcome back, Sleepy D's.
Welcome back, Sleepy D's. Oh my goodness, we really are gearing up towards Christmas, aren't we? We're on almost the home straight now. I'm feeling like it's just whizzing by so quick.
And yep, babies still need to sleep well.
They do.
Dare I say it's even more important in the lead up to the holidays and prioritizing. Yep. A lot of families also have, like obviously if you've got older children, there's school holidays, but it's when you're going to have a break from work, hopefully. Childcare's closed down. We were actually talking about this on our live group coaching call this morning, that sometimes this is a great time if you want to think, I need to get sleep back on track. It's really hard when childcare happens 4 or 5 days a week, or we just keep, life just keeps lifing. Okay, let's go into this little holiday season and have a reset and reboot if you so desire. So hopefully these questions stand you in good stead.
Well, I was just thinking then, Sally, that actually it kind of ties in like to holding the boundaries, which is an episode we just recorded for Nap Trapped. So if you listen to that, maybe this sort of ties in nicely of like, okay, well, if your daycare is closing and you want to work on your sleep and it's really important to you that you start getting your sleep back on track, then it really will become important to hold the boundaries around Christmas and, what things you go and do.
So, yeah.
If
you're doing a mini sleep boot
because
camp,
if sleep is sort of a little bit wonky, or it could be better, then use this time frame to your advantage for sure. You have our permission.
Absolutely. Well, let's get started so that everyone can hear their answers and go and implement. So I have a question here. My 6-month-old sleeps through the night, 7:30 till 7. Where should her naps be?
6.5-month-old? 6?
6-month-old. Sorry, I don't know why I paused for applause or like paused for effect there. Beck and I were talking about this before. Often when you have to read the question, you don't hear the question. And so I quickly have to scan it after I've read it. So sorry, apparently I can't do 2 things at once. No, 6-month-old sleeps through the night, 7:30 till 7. Where should her naps be?
Oh, okay. So 6-month-old, with such great skills overnight, I'd probably just jump into a 2.5 hour wake window between all naps. So if baby is awake at 7, then the nap would be 9:30 till 10:15. 2.5 hours later, 12:45 to 2:15. And then nap 3 would be 4:45 to 5:15 with a 2-hour gap. So that gets you to 7:15 bedtime, which is very similar to the 7:30. So I'd probably keep the 3-nap routine pretty tight to that. Build sleep pressure for all the naps to be taken well, and great spacing so that you could put all your 4 milk feeds and solids in when applicable.
I imagine there would be people listening to that schedule and thinking, hang on, why are we then doing a 2-hour wake window from the end of nap 3 until bed? And that is a really good question. It's a very common question we get based on these schedules. And that is because that 3rd nap is it's not even a full restorative sleep cycle. It is merely to bridge you to an age-appropriate bedtime without a baby that is an absolute hot mess. Equally, you don't want, you can do whatever you like, but we want to keep bedtime in the 7s, ideally, for most of our families, and that's what most of our families like. We absolutely love our children, and bedtime is also the time where you can clock off a little bit. Everything is important. So if you were to do a full-blown nap 3, baby might not take it, especially if they're a great napper and a great sleeper overnight, but it would organically push bedtime much later, and we like to keep bedtime in the 7s just for everyone's sanity. So that's why it's because that 3rd nap on that 4:45 till 5:15, just 30 minutes, is not a full-blown sleep cycle. So we don't need a full wake window. We want to just take the edge off and get to bedtime with a nice, well-rested baby who's had a little kip and can now self-settle blissfully and go to sleep.
We also do it because we want the 2 hours to be kind of like, I always try and call it the business only sort of section of the night, because if we've got too much time to sort of muck around then babies can very quickly become overstimulated. So if we're doing the same sequencing and everything is sort of taking that sort of half-hour sort of time frame to sort of settle in and whatnot, then we're kind of always, winding down to bed in a very specific way. Whereas if you have a full sleep cycle for nap 3 and then you need to use, say, 2.5 hours of awake time to bed, now we've got all this time that we have to fill. And so we start doing more and more, and there's more exciting things get let in. And all of a sudden we're overstimulated now, and bedtime is harder. So business only towards the end of the night.
Oh, yeah, because do you know what, to be fair, and maybe this is the mother in us as well, is that by the time we get to that third nap or we get to dinner time and beyond, we have made so many decisions all day long. We've also calculated nap. We have made sure to be at home. We have been timing the car, backing out of the driveway to do that nap on the go, all of those things that come the bedtime routine. I honestly want to just follow the steps.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to think anymore than I have to. I just want to go through the loving motions and get to bedtime nice and calm, both as a parent but with a calm baby as well.
Yeah, I used to call it the 5 o'clock shuffle because come 5 o'clock, I was packing away all the toys from the day. Everything had it was kind of like the factory reset of the house, while the third nap is happening. And then we wake up and we sort of go through the motions to get to bed. Because like you said, you are making all these small decisions all throughout the day. And, with babies, particularly 6-month-olds, they get a little bit okay, I'm over that, 10 or 15 minutes into
oh gosh,
I'm tired of my playmat. Now I'm tired of my jolly jumper. Now I'm tired of my
I want to reach that, but I can't quite get it. And now I'm frustrated by it.
It's like you're constantly trying to entertain, stimulate, distract. It's a really long day. And so when you get to the 5 o'clock shuffle and you're doing your wind down to bed, it feels like, okay, we're closing some chapters here. It's like closing the tabs. And so it's so nice to get to bedtime and have a smooth run at it and for everything to go so nicely. I think, sorry, this is going off a little bit off tangent, but a lot of my families haven't had easy bedtimes. They've never had a bedtime where they've been able to put baby into the cot and they fall asleep readily and easily, and it's relatively low key and there's no hoo-ha and all the things that when you tell them that this is going to be your future, they're like, I can't picture it. I just can't picture how other families can put their babies into the cot, say night, and then walk out of the room and it's all fine, for hours on end. And when they finally achieve that moment, it is like winning the lotto. It's such a nice feeling. So, wow, I really went off tangent there about the 30-minute nap.
No, but it's really important because it's never about the nap. It's never just about the schedule. We can talk about schedules and numbers all day long, but there is a deeper reason why we structure things the way that we do, and it's not always just about sleep. It is about protecting your sanity as an overstimulated parent. It is about trying to minimize overtiredness if and where possible and minimizing tears. It is about recognizing that everyone is done by 5:30 and we don't have to pretend otherwise.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I love that, the whole pretending factor. You can absolutely love being a parent and still love putting your child to bed and say good night, see you in the morning. And there's no shame.
Because it means that we get to reset. And this is what, I hope we do for families, is that everyone gets to reset because we have to do it all again the next day. We've absolutely chosen that. That's the gift of having children. I don't want it for families to feel like this constant groundhog. It will already have an element of that. But how can we give you some structure and rhythm and routine to reduce the mental load, get you all better rested, more patient? Baby can have more resilience for maybe some elusive independent play even at 6 months. You're allowed to love bedtime.
Absolutely. Yes, you can.
It does not mean that you don't love your children.
No, exactly right. Also, little things like you are allowed to have your dinner after your child goes to bed. So like
you don't have to eat at 4:30.
You don't have to eat at 5 o'clock.
Not that we have 4:30 on our schedules, but
like
I have been known to have a 4:30.
Yeah, I mean, listeners will know that I still love a 5:30 dinner, but I didn't do that when the kids were babies. I didn't do that when they were babies or toddlers because I would look forward to having an adult conversation once my children were in bed and having a glass of wine and like chinking to, clink, like job done, kids are in bed, let's just enjoy our dinner together. And it really didn't impact my children's ability to eat well at their own dinner time, which was always like 5, or 5:30 later on down the track. So yeah, that's my little tidbit to that. I enjoyed having my own dinner time.
But that's what we hear from so many families, right, that we work with was, what do you mean I get to have a hot meal?
Yeah.
Maybe with my partner, or I get to watch my shows, my stories, my programs. I get to watch that, or I get to scroll, like reclaim your time when we know how devoted you have all been to your babies throughout the day.
all through the day.
So We'll give you a 2-hour wake window so you get to bedtime that little bit sooner.
Oh, yeah.
See what I did there? Bring that back home. All right, let's move on. Brittany has asked, is it common for babies to resist pram naps as they get older for nap 1, 11 months old?
Oh, yeah.
My personal answer is yes. I have always found, at least with my own children, that as babies have got older and more alert and social and easily engaged, that they are less inclined to take a nap on the go without me having to really work for it. Now, I think temperament definitely plays a part in this. I have one amazing girlfriend who's all of her children of all ages have just been able to take the best naps on the go whenever. It's also about practice. And so I probably maybe didn't practice enough, but I definitely remember a turning point being like, oh, I think this ship has sailed in our family for the pram nap on the go.
I think sometimes strategies have to change in terms of getting your little ones to fall asleep in the pram. And probably at this age, 11 months, the timing of the nap is really important as well. So I would typically, to try and encourage the maximum sleep potential for a nap of this age, I would try and get to where I was going earlier. So, for example, if I was meeting girlfriends for a coffee at 10:30, I would probably be in the car at 9:30 and then letting them have a little play at the park or something like that, just to sort of burn a little bit of energy, get all the sightseeing and the the energy out and the wow, there's people around and trees and dogs and all the things. And so you're kind of getting that sort of excitement out before you then put them into the pram. And then I very carefully would stroll them around without the canopy down for a little while just to get them used to it. Otherwise, there was a little bit of panic of like, what? Now you want me to go to sleep straight away? But it was just relaxing them. Yeah, relaxing them into, oh, this motion feels great. Okay, all right. Now I would give the dummy and then lay them back, really dark cover over the top.
Surrender.
And I can't stress this enough, like the dark cover over the top just to block out all of that light. And I understand that there's a lot of canopies that go midway, maybe 7/8 of the way down, and then there's kind of like a little gap. See if you can block it off with just another extra shade, or use some buggy clips or something like that, just to sort of put a muslin or something over just that little gap. Just try and get it really dark.
Some portable white noise too, either on your phone or I used to use this isn't a shameless plug, I used to use the Glow Dreaming travel one because it fit perfectly in the coffee cup holder.
Oh wow, that's
and
a
so
cool
I
tip.
could pop that on, and off we trotted. But yes, I think all of those tips, because at that age it can feel abrupt to be like, what, we've just got here and now you're going to put my blinkers on like a horse race, racing horse. Then that's not going to fly like it would with a 4-month-old baby. It's like, oh,
yeah.
I'm easier to go with the flow. Okay, Sophie has said 8-month-old on Monday never has longer than 1 hour nap 2 at childcare, then early nap 3, and then early bedtime with wakes between 4 to 5:30. How do I combat this? The first thought I just had is that often the timing of that first nap can help dictate the rest of the day. We have an episode, a main episode about the power of the 9:30 nap.
Yeah.
And because what can sometimes happen is that if you've got sort of ongoing or stubborn early rising 4 to 5:30, and I'm not sure if this baby is just waking or is up to start the day, is that often childcare or even at home, you're inclined to put baby down at 8 because they've been up since 4. We need you to lock in the 9:30 so that then when that second childcare nap isn't super long, which is absolutely predictable and no big deal in theory, your whole day isn't brought too far forward, in which case you can get stuck in that early to bed, early to rise, which for anyone watching, I just did air quotations, because it may be that baby's just maxed out. Like if they're going to bed at 5:45, of course, come 4:45, they've done 11 hours. So it will naturally help you structure your day to try and avoid the early to bed, early to rise scenario. That was my first thought just as I read that.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I would have suggested too. I think this is more of an early rise first nap rather than a second nap issue. Because I would still be okay with, say, like a 9:45, say if you got to, 9:30 to 10:15, so a 45-minute first nap. And then at childcare, they sleep for 1 hour. So 9:45 to 10:15, 12:45 to 1:45. Could be better, but at childcare, I'm not going to sweat it if the third nap is still in play.
I'm actually impressed by the 1 hour for a second nap at childcare.
Yeah. I think maybe issues could potentially be that if they've actually wanting to transition to a 2-nap schedule, but then there's an emergency third nap being put in, and then the timings are a little bit skewed towards a 2-nap schedule rather than a 3. Does that make sense? And so if it was 9:30 to 11 and then 2 till 3, but then no, that would still work out all right.
I can just see the inner calculator in Beck's brain whirring.
Would still be fine. Yeah. So no, I think you're right. The first nap must be happening too early.
And then also having a look at what is actually happening at 4 till 5:30, because it could be that despite your best efforts, there is still a glitch that occurs at that time. What is your technique and approach to encourage baby to go back down? Are we treating this like an overnight waking? If not, that's how I would approach it so that it doesn't become the status quo, because it could be that the schedule isn't the issue, but there's a habitual something fun happens here, or that one time I woke because of overtiredness or whatever it was, and now, oh look, my favorite person comes in and does X, Y, and Z. That can prolong that early waking and whether or not baby's going back to sleep.
That's right. And it could have been as simple as I'm feeling a little bit cold one of those nights. So for the waking was happening around 4 o'clock, and then it's sort of steamrolled from there. So again, just checking your environmental factors.
Do your audit, your checklist, and definitely lock in the 9:30 nap. And in that episode, we actually go into more detail about specific timings because this is such a common scenario. Absolutely. Okay, 7 months. Should we give a quick 5 a.m. feed to reset if we're trying to wean night feeds? I, as always, would like to know more. Like, where are we up to in terms of the night feeds? Have we already dropped it? But also, really crucially, where are the day feeds? Day milk feeds and day solids, and are they full and complete and all of that? As in, what I'm trying to discern is, does baby genuinely need a feed at this time? Because I want to be able to rule out genuine hunger. Or are we looking to bring it in to fix early rising? As in, reinsert a feed when maybe for the last month baby has not needed a feed overnight. In which case, we go back to the golden rule. If you have dropped an overnight feed, we don't look to bring it back.
If baby, so let's just take this at face value, and baby's having their great naps and is taking 4 full complete milk feeds in through the day, which would be 7, 11, 3, and about 6:30. And then they're going down and they're sleeping all the way through until 5 o'clock in the morning. And then that's the sort of sticking point. And then something needs to be done. So either it's a feed or rocking, holding, patting, yada, yada, to get them back to sleep. Initially, I personally, if you're itching your way towards the morning, so maybe you've had a 3 a.m. waking, then it's become 4 and now it's 5. As you get closer and closer to the morning, the smaller the feed becomes. So say at 4 o'clock in the morning, I might have given 1 boob or 150 mils to get back off to sleep. Whereas 5 o'clock in the morning, it is so close to the start of the day that you really, if you're going to offer a feed, it just has to be 1 or 2 minutes on the boob, or 40 or 50 mils just to get back to sleep super quickly, but not so much milk that it's going to impact the 7 o'clock milk feed. And if you find that actually you've offered this teeny tiny feed, but the 7 o'clock milk feed is now a bit of a dick around and they're on and off, they're super distracted, they've taken 1 boob, not the other side, all that sort of jazz, then your best bet really is then just to resettle that feed, that waking, rather than offer the feed, because you want baby's internal clock to recognize that the start of the day starts with this nice big full feed. And so that's where it's going to start sort of working towards. So if nothing fun's happening at 5 o'clock with a milk feed and stimulation and all the jazz, then no point waking. And it can often become quite habitual in the sense, like what you were saying before, is like if there's something fun, maybe they're not that hungry anyway, but now you're starting to add a little bit more into the mix. Sometimes the more you add in, the more stimulated they become, and then not even a quick feed will work, and they're still up.
They
for
won't
the day,
go back down to sleep,
and they won't go back down. So I call this, and I've said this to my client this morning, and I'm sure she's listening now, but you're on the last 5% of your sleep work. And this is often the trickiest part, because you can see, a feed will get them back off to sleep. Like if you give them a big enough feed, they're going to go back down and be absolutely conked out until you need to wake them at 7 o'clock.
Yep.
But then your whole day gets skewed because that 7 o'clock milk feed is now a dud, and then they can't make it to 11 o'clock. So 7 o'clock is always your go-to.
That's what we're trying to protect.
So now you've just got to hold steady on that. Yeah, that's right. So last 5% of the sleep work.
Yeah. And if that, following that train of thought, Beck, if your wake up has gone and organically nudged out and gone 3 a.m., 4 a.m., 5 a.m., and then that waking starts at 5:30, that's when we would say no more feeds. It's just purely a reset. Or even if baby doesn't go back to sleep because they're like, hang on, what are you? I wake at some time around here, and then you feed me and I go back to sleep. They're not in on that plan. They just don't know that come 7 a.m., it's the best feed of their life, and we have redistributed the calories back into the day, and you have officially just dropped your overnight feeds. It makes me think, somebody asked me during the week, they had a question about their 12-month-old who was previously sleep trained, but they've been stuck with early rising, and they spoke to their sleep consultant. And look, everyone does. There's so many different styles and techniques. There's no hard and fast, right or wrong. And the sleep consultant got back to them to say, I recommend you bring back the 5 a.m. feed at 12 months in order to fix the early rise. And for me, that is not what I would do. I would be trying to figure out what is the root cause of the early rise. And if it's hunger, then we need to give more calories during the day. But I wouldn't be bringing it back in at 12 months to fix the early rise.
No.
When you've gone without it for so long.
No, that's right. There's another underlying cause. It wouldn't be genuine hunger at that point in time. I will just say though, with the 7 months, so if you are whittling away that 5 o'clock milk feed and then you're doing away with it entirely, that's when you can. So at 7 months is when I would bring breakfast in this scenario. So I typically hold off breakfast for this moment, because this is your like it's like the money shot, like you're taking, the calories are leaving the building overnight, but you aren't taking away the calories. You're putting the calories back in through the day. So this 5 o'clock milk feed in the morning, once that's gone, that's when you put breakfast into the mix. And then you can start sort of adding more and more breakfast in to up the quantities and up the calories, compensate for no milk feed overnight. And so you just start adding more, like once the night feeds are gone, you start adding more solids in through the day. So then you can sort of bulk out lunch a little bit more as well and start with your dinner. But that's probably another episode to do in terms of like the breakfast and why we sort of hold that as the last meal to be
I think it's really important
implemented.
because, again, a huge, despite being sleep consultants, a huge part of our work is calorie redistribution and getting that all lined up so that this 5 a.m. feed starts to become 5:30, which is just a resettle. But then your days start to amp up in terms of intake, both milk and solids, and then it can that new pattern of, oh, I can sleep all night without a feed can maintain without you having to think, oh gosh, I might need to bring it back in.
Yeah. 100%.
And then we're stuck doing it all over again. Okay, little one is 4.5 months. Should I go from 4 naps to 3 per day soon to help sleep pressure? Crap naps only. It's still really normal to have, I mean, I don't quite know the definition of this listener's crap naps, but it's still really normal for catnapping, if I interpret as that. So, having short naps at the age of 4.5 months. I will happily take 4 45-minute naps if a baby's just not developmentally able to consolidate and link a sleep cycle at this age. If we were using the 7-month-old baby from the previous question, I would have a much higher expectation that we can absolutely get longer consolidated naps. But just to normalize that taking short naps at 4.5 months old is still completely normal, and it's not all doom and gloom that you'll never get a long nap. You are so close, in fact, to your baby developmentally being able to do that. So just to be your hype girl there for a second before we actually answer the question. But should I go from 4 naps to 3 naps per day soon to help sleep pressure? I don't know about you, Beck. I usually do that at around 5 months. I'm more so start to work on that, and I'll do it strategically to try and start encouraging some longer, more consistent naps.
I am very similar. I've actually got 2 clients on the go at the moment who have the same age babies. They were 4 months, 3 weeks when we started together. So both babies were the same. And we worked on everything to begin with. One baby is fully on 3 naps, well established now. So just ticked over the 5-month mark on 3 naps and it's dreamy, totally fine. The other one is a little bit hit and miss with the second nap and the length of it. So in these scenarios, we are on technically on a 3 nap schedule, but we do have that little buffer boob snooze.
Rescue plan. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's 3.5 naps at this point in time. But totally working towards the 3 nap schedule. And I think between 5 and 6 months, you definitely want to try and use wake windows or longer wake windows to try and encourage that. But at 4 months, is this baby's 4 months?
Yep.
So I would use 2 hours of awake time between all naps at this point in time.
My hesitation in just saying a blanket rule of, yes, in order to fix your crap naps at the age of 4 months, you just drop a nap, is that it's not just about the naps. It's where are the feeds, environment. It's about all of these other aspects, because what could happen is you drop a nap, you increase a wake window, baby doesn't play ball, takes a 20-minute blink in your arms, and then you're left scrambling for the rest of the day. So there often needs to be some strategy around it as to how we, like, what is causing the crap factor? Is there something outside of just developmentally taking short naps?
Yeah. Could the feeds be better? Could the feeds be more consolidated? It just depends on those sorts of things. have you taken baby out of the swaddle and they really just need to be back in the swaddle? We see that a lot.
Yes, we are
which we've touched
constantly
on a
putting
lot.
babies back. Yeah.
Yeah, just I think
back into
in
the swaddle.
order, like, because this is like a really fun age where lots of little ones are trying to practice to roll, but they're not actually rolling. They might have done it once or twice. There's a tendency to sort of go, oh my God, I've got to get my baby out of the swaddle. And so they do. And then naps, this is when naps start to sort of settle down. If we can create really great optimal environments. And an optimal environment is with swaddled, so that there's no startle reflex. So if there's an option to keep the swaddle in or bring the swaddle back, if naps are your bugbear, then that's 100% what I would do. If they're not rolling all the time, like if they've just shown you once or twice, then that they can do it, but it's not a ongoing thing.
Or reach for something and then got on their side and then, oh, whoops, flopped over.
Yeah. So
yeah,
I would try those. Like, or if that's. Yeah.
The other thing worth mentioning is the 4-month sleep regression and having a look then at what's happening at bedtime and overnight, because in order to improve naps, sometimes we need to improve the nights first. And if you're in the thick of the 4-month sleep regression with sort of choppy naps during the day and multiple overnight wakings, it's actually, I would prioritize bedtime, prioritize the structure and the milk feeds and all of that during the day, but then actually having a look at what's happening at bedtime and overnight so that your baby then goes into the day better rested, and that has a flow-on effect of improving naps without any kind of nap training initially. All right, let's do one last one and we'll save the rest for another episode. So Isabella has an 8-month-old, 2 naps, 9 till 10, 1 till 3, bed at 6:45, wakes between 5 to 5:30, tired but won't go back down, hungry, ? 8-month-old, 2 naps, 9 till 10, 1 till 3, and bed at 6:45.
And wakes up at 5:30.
5 till 5:30.
So
tired but won't go back down. It's almost an 11. It's that 10 and a half hour, which we've talked about before, that if every baby we talk to would wake at the 10 to 10 and a half hour mark if they could.
Well, I think it just depends. I mean, an element of this is bedtime being 6:45 and then 11 hours gets you to 5:45. So technically they're probably sort of sitting around, I'm kind of done. It also is a little bit, I would imagine, a couple of things spring to mind, because if bedtime is 6:45 and we could get little one starting the day at 5:45, then I'd kind of have no issue with it. It's just a dicky time to start the day. It's not technically an early rise. In order to shift the early rise, you will have to do a little bit of work in terms of, well, not starting the day until 7 o'clock. You may also need to put extra solids in, like at dinner time. So really look at, lunchtime, dinner, look at the solids tanking them up. There's an element of, well, the final milk feed is probably happening at 6:15 as well. So everything is starting earlier. Yeah. So it's hard because at 8 months also, it's quite a long wake window between the end of the last nap and bedtime, but it seems like baby's tolerating it okay because they are sleeping this really nice long stretch. So I think it's mainly just a case of working on the early rise, delaying the start of the day so you can get your nap happening slightly later, like 9:30 is ideal for 8 months. Is that because it's starting at 9, isn't it?
It's starting at 9 till 10. So that's what I was going to say, is that sometimes that earlier nap can accidentally reinforce the early rise, just because that just becomes the body clock thinking, okay, well, I wake up 5:45 and I go down at 9. And sometimes we need to just push it that little bit further to 9:30. I also, just to touch on the hunger, is that, and I don't know how many milk feeds this baby is on, and I also don't know if this baby turned 8 months yesterday or is turning 9 months tomorrow, which a lot happens in that 1 month. But on our 2 nap schedules, we usually drop down to the 3 milk feeds versus when they're on a 3 nap schedule when we have the 4 milk feeds. And I find that often, particularly for a younger 8-month-old baby, that those extra calories can really help. But it also is peace of mind for the parent to not wonder, is this early rise due to hunger? Great, I can rule that out. I'm going to consistently reset or sleep train until the desired wake up time. So part of me would think we could go back on to 3 naps because it would do a couple of things. It would bring back the 4th milk feed if that is the situation that it's been dropped. But it would also put in that bridging nap to bedtime and get you to a slightly later bed, which will also organically push that early rise. It may still happen because it's just locked in terms of the little body's alarm clock going off. But again, it's the confidence in you to say, okay, I can rule out all of these things. This is now just a matter of habit and I'm going to sleep train or reset or whatever it is that you want to do until 6:45, 7 a.m. to break out of this cycle. Then you lock in with the 9:30 nap so we don't reinforce it, and you move through the day with your 4 milk feeds and your 3 naps. You get to bedtime probably somewhere between 7 and 7:30 and you're on the up.
Mm-hmm. Correct. The other way to do it would be, so there's 2 options, I think. So you could definitely bring the 3rd nap back in, or if you move to the 2 nap schedule, so let's just say, for example, that was a fresh 8-month-old and you wanted to bring but maybe they're a day from 9 months and maybe they're still okay with 2 naps, then you would sort of do the immediate shift to the 9:30 nap. So 9:30 to 11, 2 till 3:30, like the OG schedule, and then bedtime is 7. And then, if they're able to sort of, get a little bit more solids under their belt before bed, all the things, then there's a higher chance that they're going to sleep somewhere between 6 and 7 the following morning. So there's 2 options there, probably age-based.
Yes. Yeah.
So
I will say the baby clearly has great sleep skills. Particularly if they're able to, like a 1 till 3 nap is great. The 6:45 till 5:30 is a lot of self-settling. So you probably have wriggle room on either of these schedules. And I think, it's going to be age specific. And then also just having a look at calories and where they actually need it and how solids are going and all of that. But great sleep skills. I think this just needs a tidy up and some troubleshooting, but hopefully that has helped. There's definitely options there. Beck, I know you need to go, so we are going to love you and leave you, and we will answer the rest of these questions on the next episode of Sleep Detectives.
As always, I do love a sleepy D. I hope everyone has a great week, and we will catch you on the flip side.
We will. We love doing this. All right, everyone. Bye.
See ya.